Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios. I'm Craig, and today we are diving into the cult creeds of the new Genestealer Cult 9th Edition Codex. This is going to be a rundown of each cult creed. We're not going to do the custom ones, maybe in another video. We're going to go over all of their unique stuff, some tactics I think, or play styles you can take with these cult creeds, and we'll wrap it all up in a conclusion. Before we dive into today's video, do consider liking, subscribing to stay up to date on all of our content here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios. And if you do want to support the growth of our channel, consider becoming a member to get all of those member exclusive goodies. Or if you'd rather not do that, understandable. We do have an Etsy shop. All of the revenue from there does go straight back into supporting the growth of this channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's dive into today's video. So like I said, today we're going to go over all of the cult creeds in the new Genestealer Cult Codex. We're going to go through a rundown. We'll go over the cult bonuses, what you get for being a pure detachment of this cult creed. We're going to go over their unique items. Every cult creed has a unique stratagem, warlord trait, relic, and psychic power. And then after we go over those, I might dabble a little bit into what I think might be a good option, maybe some things you want to tech into when playing this specific cult creed. So let's go straight into the first one. This is one of my favorite, may not be the most competitive, but this is one of my favorite, the Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor. So very simple cult creed here. What you do is you get rerolled charges all the time. And that's great, especially for an army that can rely on deep striking. Then just makes your 8-inch charges that much more reliable. You also, all models, including your vehicles, gain light cover or a +1 save if they're being attacked by ranged weapons at greater than 12 inches away. This is going to be big on things like your Goliath trucks, your rock grinders, because they are going to go up to a 2-up save at more than 12 inches away, which is an insane amount more durability than they had a long time ago, or recently I should more say. Also, it'll help the durability of some of your neophytes and things that are holding more of the back lines from those first turn opening salvos. The cult specialties here, so these are the unique things. The warlord trait is instructable cunning. Once per battle round, you can reduce the cost of a strategic ploy or battle tactic stratagem if it is being used within 12 inches of your warlord. Now, if you plan out who this warlord is, you basically could gain 5 free command points a game on top of that, which there's other ways to gain command points back too. So Genestealer Cult seemed to be a pretty command point heavy army, like a lot of 9th edition codexes, but this is just another way to stack up those command points and let them last as long as possible. Relic, Sword of the Four-Armed Emperor, strength +1, AP -4, damage 1. You can make 4 additional attacks with this weapon. It replaces a bone sword. So really this is going on your Primus for the most part. I don't like it. Damage 1, sure you have a lot of attacks. You're going to be hitting at strength 5, AP -4, 1 damage. And on a Primus you'll be rocking, 8 attacks? It's not bad. It'll cut down some Marines, but you're going to be needing twice as many wounds as you would with a regular bone sword. So of the relics, it's not my favorite, but still pretty cool if you want to do something narrative. The psychic power, Undermine, is a warp charge 7, 18-inch range malediction. This is one of the best, I think, of all of them. It is so you target an enemy unit, obviously the malediction, -3 inches to their movement, have their advance rolls, rounding up because that is the way 40k works, and -2 to charge distances. If your opponent has a big foot-slogging unit of heavy infantry, like a Terminator squad, they're not going anywhere for a turn if you put the psychic power. They're going to have a 2-inch movement, half their advance rolls, and a -2 charge. That's a great way to keep those heavy infantry at bay from your models. The stratagem, a plan, generations in the making. It's a 0 CP strat, +1 command point to any one of your opponent's stratagems, excluding the command reroll, but it works after the first time they use it. So you want to target something like transhuman physiology that they're going to use over and over and over again, because after the first time they use it, it's going to cost 1 extra CP every time. Situational might be good against some armies. Tyranids, we have the nasty double shoot strat. That would be one to target there. We now, with Crusher Stampede, have a version of transhuman with our monsters. That would be a good one to target. Space Marines, Grey Knights, all of those. Something they're going to use over and over. That is that one. So really, with this cult, it's about a lot of charging. Consistent charging, so you probably want to play a lot of deep striking, whether it's MSU style deep striking units or big blocks of Acolytes, Aberrants, and Genestealers coming in there. Not much else to say about it, but this is one of my favorite just because I love the deep strike charging. Is it the most consistent way to play Genestealer Cult? Maybe not. You're still relying on an 8-inch die roll on average, so we'll see. There are other ways you could pair this. If you take a Acolyte, the Acolyte Banner Boy, he can do his action. So now you can get, if you are within range of him, when you're charging, you could potentially make it a 7-inch rerollable charge. Now that's a lot more juicy. Again, you have to plan around that, but still a lot of good things from the Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor. Now we'll go into the next one, the Hivecult. The cult creeds of this one is you can fall back and shoot at -1, which is always really good. And you can perform actions even if they fall back, they advanced, or they've shot. So this one is going to be, if you're playing Hivecult, you obviously want to take secondaries towards doing actions. So retrieving Octarius data or retrieving Nakamun data, as it will be called very shortly here. The deploy scramblers, investigate signals, raising banners. All of these are going to be huge because you can now get an extra movement distance out and perform these actions where it might be harder for other armies to do it. Falling back and shooting is still really good, especially for the Genestealer Cult playing with our crossfire tokens. Now if you've locked something in combat, you can fall back, shoot it up, put a crossfire token on it, and now you can open up to a new world of hurt from other units in your army. I think that is going to be very good. The cult specialities, there are all some fun ones here. Hive Lord as a warlord trait. Core units within 6 inches get exploding 6s to hit. So essentially, when you roll a 6 to hit, it counts as 2 hits. No need to roll for it extra. You just put 2 dice into the 2 wound roll pool. Very good. You could pair that with core units if you really want to get nasty. It's the demolition charges. You could pair that with on an Adelan Jackal. You could go for an auto 6 shots, rolling the 6 to hit, maybe get extra ones. You could just go with mass bolter fire or auto gun fire and get some extra shots there. Your mining lasers, seismic cannons would be a good one if you can keep a neophyte squad in range there. So good one if you want to play more shooty. The relic is Valkyr's Talisman. Wound rolls of 5+, ignore, armor, and invuln saves. So you stick this on your Patriarch, and now every time he rolls a 5 up, they don't get an armor, they don't get an invuln. Basically, your wound rolls of 6 up are an immediate 3 damage to anybody unless they have a Feel No Pain type save. That is going to make that Patriarch hit insanely powerful, especially if you couple that with some other warlord traits, like giving him an extra attack, an extra toughness, things like that, essentially. But it is a really nice relic if you want an all-in combat Patriarch. Psychic power, Synaptic Blast. It's an interesting one. It's a Warp Charge 5, 18-inch range Witchfire. So you roll a d6, adding 2 to the result for each Hivecult core unit within 6 inches of the Psyker. So if the result of the die roll is less than the target's movement characteristic, they take D3 mortal wounds. If it's greater than target's movement characteristic, they take a flat 3 mortal wounds. It's an interesting way to potentially get off a better smite. It's essentially smite with an extra added step to make it flat 3 mortal wounds. Maybe if you want to have a combat or a more mortal wound damaging Magus, I just don't see this being something you would take over some of the other more powerful supporting psychic powers. Maybe, but yeah. The stratagem, Fire Discipline, one enemy unit gains the crossfire token before a unit is chosen to shoot. That crossfire token stays for the whole time. So obviously what you do is you say, all right, I got my neophyte squad. We're racked up with seismic cannons. They're the first squad to shoot that unit. I'm gonna pay this 1 CP. Now that unit they're firing is crossfired. If you have a unit on the other side to get exposed positions, just like that, we have an exposed position seismic cannon bomb, which if your opponent is caught out in the open could be devastating to them. So really good stratagem. Hivecult obviously is a much more guerrilla tactics style shooting army. You're going to want to include some combat in every Genestealer Cult army, and you're going to want to include some shooting. This one is kind of a mirror or an opposite to the Four-Armed Emperor. The Four-Armed Emperor leans towards the combat. This one leans toward the shooting. I think some people are going to have a good time with it as long as they are smart with controlling their crossfire tokens and things like that. Because without those tokens, Genestealer Cult shooting is not that great. But with them, they're very powerful. Now we'll go on to the next one, the Bladed Cog. This is probably my least favorite, but it's still something, especially narratively, is really cool. The Bladed Cog are essentially like a Adeptus Mechanicus Genestealer Cult hybrid sort of faction. So all units in this have a 6-up info save. That's kind of the bionic save that's carried over from the AdMech. And each time a unit shoots or fights, they can reroll 1 wound roll, also something carried over from Mars, I believe. So think of them as the Mars Hive Fleet, or the Mars Forge World merged with Genestealer Cult. Add 3 inches to the range of all weapons, again, something from the AdMech that's carried over. Unfortunately, can't use it on grenades or demo charges because that would be wild. I think it's good. I think it's good, especially if you're doing more of a mass range neophyte. Having the 6-inch or the 6-up info and save is going to be really good just to keep a few more alive, especially if you got a banner in there. Every 6-up is another one alive. Potentially more you can bring back with your banner. The cult specialties of here, the Warlord trait, Single-Minded Obsession. This one's pretty fun. So select 1 enemy unit pre-game. Core units within 6 inches of the Warlord re-roll wound rolls against that unit all the time. Shooting, combat, turn 1, turn 5, turn whatever. So I guess you would probably use this to target that 1 key unit you have to bring down, whether it's a big block of Terminators, that big monster, a Dread Knight, Nemesis Dread Knight. That would be, trying to think of some other things. Maybe it's a big block Space Marines or Necron Warriors, I don't know. Anyway, that 1 key unit, because now if you can set up a crossfire on that unit, your auto guns are probably wounding them on 4s, re-rolling with exposed positions, so it's just going to make that many more wounds go towards the opponent. Let alone auto guns, think it's still the mining lasers and the seismic cannons. You could get your grenade launchers, your demo charges, all of those are going to be getting reroll wound rolls, which will be very nice. Their relic, Mark of the Claude Omnissiah. The bearer has a 4-up invuln save. Nice. Roll a d6 for each enemy unit within engagement range. On 2 to 3, they take a mortal wound. 4 to 5, d3 mortal wounds, and a 6, 3 mortal wounds. So this you probably want to put on your Primus. I think you could maybe put it on somebody else. And I bet your Primus is the best bet for who to target with this. Get him stuck into a lot of units. 4-up invuln save is really the only thing that Primus is missing. Otherwise, he's a pretty good beat stick. But a 4-up invuln, take that Primus to the next level, and just some added mortal wounds, just do some added damage. Psychic power is Synaptic Blast, Warp Charge 5, 18-inch Blessing. It is a 3-inch aura around your Psyker of +1 save to damage 1 weapons. Again, your neophytes, if you can kind of chain in 2 units of neophytes right there, then they get a 4-up save against damage 1 weapons, or at least they ignore AP -1 against damage 1 weapons. Couple that with on top of a 6-up invuln save, it's going to really add tankiness to the unit. Stratagem, Xenoform Bionics, it's 1 or 2 CP depending on the size or the power level of the unit. Pre-game, you give an infantry or a biker unit a 5-up invuln save. I can see some really cool things here going with Aberrants is the biggest unit that comes to mind, or maybe a big max squad of Adelan Jackals. But imagine like some mechanized Aberrants having a 5-up invuln save, 5-up feel no pain, reduced damage by 1. Those things would be those would be some of the scariest Aberrants coming your way, and a really, really cool conversion opportunity. If anyone's done it, let me know, and I would love to see pictures somehow of some converted mechanized Aberrants, because that would be awesome. Okay, now we'll go into another one. This is probably one of the better ones as well. The Rusted Claw. This used to be in the 8th edition codex, my favorite one to play with. There's also the only good one to play with. Army-wide, +1 save against AP -1 and AP -2. Technically, the wording in the codex is it reduces the AP. So an AP -1 becomes AP 0 and AP -2 becomes AP -1. Same thing works out there. It also grants army-wide counts as remain stationary after a normal move or an advanced move. So your mining lasers or your seismic cannons, your guys can advance and still count as remaining stationary, so there's no hitting penalty at all. I'm trying to think of some other issues or scenarios where that could be a big deal, and really, I don't think it is. Your bikes, maybe it would help out your bikes a little bit with the advancing and still firing weapons as normal, but I think the biggest thing, it's going to benefit your neophyte squads a lot in terms of being able to have great mobility and still decent fire output. The cult specialities. The world trait is called Entropic Touch. An unmodified melee attack of a 6+ equals 2 additional hits. So now every time you roll a 6, it counts as 3 hits, not just 1. And improve the AP of all melee weapons, not relics, by 1. So now if you put that on your bone sword for your Primus, you could have AP -3, I believe it's AP -3, and 6 explode. You could also put it on your Patriarch and have AP -4 on your Talons. 6s to explode on him would be pretty good too. Up to you which one you want. I would maybe lean towards the Patriarch unless there's a better world trait you want to put on him. Really means everything is just going to have invuln saves against him. The Relic, this is a really unique one, so it's nice to see they have something like this. The Nomad's Mantle, the bearer can shoot, charge, and manifest a psychic power even if they advanced or fell back from combat. That alone right there is pretty good. Not amazing, but it's pretty good. Then there's an added part which makes this really cool. Each time the bearer makes a move, normal move, charge, or fall back, they can move horizontally through terrain and models. So if you've got like a wall here that your opponent is hiding behind and normally you'd have to go around it, nope, just zip right through it into combat. If you want to fall back, you think you're pinned in, nope, just zip out through the building and then you're in there. Or you could go through your own models, your opponent's models. Let's say they've got a wall of guys in the front and the character in the back. You roll high enough charge, you could go through the character or through the infantry squad and hit the character with that. That would be really cool. Put that on your Patriarch for some insane mobility that they really have to think of when it comes to this. Psychic power is Inescapable Decay, is a Warp Charge 6 malediction. All models get an extra AP -1 against the unit that is targeted. I believe that is in melee and shooting. Get an additional AP -1. So now your auto guns actually are going to be doing some damage. That's a really good power, and I would probably take that every time, because if you can catch your opponent in a pretty nasty crossfire, auto guns are going to be actually scary. Seismic cannons are going to be terrifying for them too with that extra AP. Stratagem, this is one of the most fun ones. A little confusing, but it's fun. Drive-by demolitions. So in the movement phase, you move your Adelan Jackals. So you have a squad here, and they move past a unit. Again, I'm not a big fan of the stratagems where you have to say you move past it, because it can be some gamey plays with, how do you say you moved past them? Anyway, it's a 6-inch range, so you can get away with it. So you take a unit that's moved past them with your Adelan Jackals, and then in your movement phase, you can throw a grenade weapon, or you can do your demolition charge. I guess it's still a grenade weapon, and you get max attacks. And the reason why this is so good is, one, you could be already past the unit behind out of line of sight, hit it with a max demolition charge, but now you get 2 demolition charges, right? So you could, in the movement phase, throw a demolition charge at it, and then in the shooting phase, throw another demolition charge at it for 1 CP. You can do 2 demolition charge throws, one of them getting max attacks, one of them you still have to roll for. That alone could easily wipe out a lot of tanks if you've got some hot rolls. Obviously with the first one, you won't have any crossfire tokens on it. It says you do it as if it were the shooting phase, and the crossfire tokens last until the end of the battle round, so I would assume that would give off a crossfire token in the movement phase, and therefore you would have one, so when you shoot at them starting the shooting phase, there would already be a crossfire token on the unit. I'm assuming that's how it goes. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be that way, unless, maybe it's FAQ'd or something, but really cool. This one obviously favors a lot of mobility and a lot of mass firearms, so a lot of the bikes, the Adelan Jackals, the buggies, even some of the trucks carrying neophytes and things like that. It's still nice to have some combat units, of course, because Genestealer Cult need them. But think of, okay, so one more example I can give off. Think of, for Inescapable Decay, your big mass of acolytes with hand flamers. Pair that, now all of your shots with those hand flamers having AP, that'll melt just about anything. So yeah, this, you want acolytes with hand flamers, ridge runners, bikes, Adelan Jackals with the demo charges, grenade launchers, their small arms fire, and probably just a whole bunch of neophytes to support the backline and provide those crossfire tokens. Very good one. I'm sure we'll see a ton of Rusted Claw, especially with the whole the Acolyte Bomb, but more on that in another video, maybe more specifically. Next one we have is the Pauper Princes. This one is not bad at all, so we'll dive into it. It's a +1 to hit in melee if you charge, are charged, or they perform heroic intervention. So very nice. Pauper Princes will give you some more consistent punch in melee. You also ignore combat attrition modifiers when it comes to taking morale tests. This one's not that great, unfortunately, because, yes, you are probably taking bigger squads, so it's more likely you have combat attrition tests. There are ways to ignore those combat attrition tests as it is, but it's something. It's something, I guess. The cult specifics or specialities: warlord trait, Xenoprophet. Auto pass, unquestioning loyalty rolls. But the other part of it is that you have a 6-inch range for unquestioning loyalty. Your Broodlord, if he's near any other unit, is nigh invincible, because he got a 4-up invuln save, and then even if he fails that, if he's got a model within range of him, the model's dead automatically. your Patriarch or whatever characters are not invincible if they have this Warlord trait. So I guess because it's a Warlord trait, it can only be Magus, Primus, and Patriarch, or the who are the other ones that can do it? The Biker Lady and the Banner Boy. Their names escape me. I don't know why they're escaping me. But anyway, so that's a good one. Obviously I'd put that in the Patriarch because dang, an invincible Patriarch is really fun. The Reliquary of the Saint Tendark. I think that's right. A 6-inch aura. Units within 6 inches that are core gain a 5-up invuln save. That could really help out your first turn deployments, especially if you don't go first. Giving a bubble of units a 5-up invuln save could go a long way to you surviving the first couple turns before your reinforcements come in. The Psychic Power Last Gap is an interesting one. Warp Charge 5, 18-inch Blessing. Each time a model dies in that unit, so your own unit, on a 5+, the enemy suffers a mortal wound to a max of 5. Why it's not 6 mortal wounds, max of 5 mortal wounds? That's okay. I mean, I guess if you know you have a unit that is about to get beat down this turn because your opponent fights first on your turn of combat, assuming there's no charges, it could be a way to do some key mortal wounds at the end of the combat. You know, it's got its situations. Stratagem is Vengeance for the Martyred. Obviously, you can kind of get a theme here. It's all about dying for the characters in this case. Use this once a character is destroyed until the end of a battle round. All units in your army gain +1 to wound against the unit that killed that character. Any character. I mean, I guess if you get your character in a bad spot and he dies and a key unit killed it for 1 CP, that could be a pretty good, counterplay to it. Maybe you've got a character who's pretty much on the end of his life and you bait it out into the open and your opponent kills it with the big character. It sounds really good. I don't know how often it'll be used effectively, but it is only 1 CP, so it could come up pretty well. So Pauper Princes, again, I think this is one of the lesser of them. Kind of with the Bladed Cog, but still fun one to try out. Now for the final one, and I'm thinking this one might be one of the best ones. Maybe not the best, but it's definitely up there in the top 2 or 3. Twisted Helix. These guys are awesome. The cult creed is army-wide +1 strength. When your enemy is wounding you, unmodified wound rolls of 1 and 2 always fail. So strength 6 weapons on your neophytes, and strength 8 weapons on your acolytes, and strength 10+ weapons on your aberrants always fail. That'd even work on your bikes and buggies too, so that's really good. For the cult specialities, you have Bile Alchemist for the Warlord trait. Add 1 to the damage of melee weapons. You could slap that on your Primus for damage 3 Bone Sword. That'd be pretty good. Or, a better option probably, add this to your Patriarch to have a now damage 4 potential on him. Very good there. The Relic Elixir of the Prime Specimen. We have the bear gains a genomic enhancement. If you have Biophagus in your army, you can take 2 of them. So these are 5-up Feel No Pain, 6s Explode in Combat, or an extra AP. Again, if you want to make the biggest, beefiest Patriarch in the game, you can give him a 5-up Feel No Pain, and you could give him 6s are Exploding in Combat. So now you've got, got your 6 attacks with the Patriarch, and 6 Exploding, it's an extra damage, and he's going to be slicing and dicing, 4-up Invuln Save, 5-up Feel No Pain. Very, very durable. The Psychic Power is Mutagenic Deviation, Warp Charge 5, 12-inch range Blessing, unmodified hit rolls of a 6+ auto wound in melee. So you could take that to your regular Acolyte squads, take a big block of them, charge in, don't even need the heavy weapon, 6s auto wound, I'll just get a lot more wounds through. It's a very simple one. I'd probably take it just because it guarantees more attacks through, whether it's with your mining weapons, whether it's just with your talons, claws, whatever the case is. Still just a very simple, solid power to take. The stratagem is a unique one. It is Monstrous Biohorror, so you choose your Aberrant or your Abominant. Probably want to use your Aberrant. It doesn't work so well for the Abominant. Each model they kill in combat counts as 2 for purposes of morale. So now if, let's say, you have a 10-man block of Marines and you kill 4 of them, well, that counts as a 8 minus 8 on a leadership test. It's basically, it's an auto fail except for, a 1 always pass. So if they got a key big elite unit, you could really, just by killing a few of them, force them to take a hefty morale phase or spend the 2 CP to auto pass. Each model, or each time these models fight, it can do a frenzy option. It's still part of the strategy. You don't have to, but you can. What happens with this is your Aberrants or your Abominant, but really your Aberrants, get +1 attack, but their weapons go to damage 1. This is okay if they're really stuck in a situation where it is just damage or 1 wound models they're in. It could be good. You could pair this with giving them +1 attack the first round of combat and then double this on top of it, so now they have 4 attacks apiece. Still at strength 8, still at AP -3, but damage 1 instead of damage 3. So that's the Twisted Helix. I think it's got really good potential. The always failing on 1s and 2s will come up, especially with your toughness 3 boys, your neophytes. Keeping them alive just every time they get hit with that strength 6 weapon, 2s are failing, really cuts back on the durability they have. And you can make some seriously deadly Patriarchs. You could do it on an Abominant or something too if you want, but a Patriarch in this cult creed is going to be nastier than just about any Patriarch in the game, and he will take down most characters that he goes up against. So that is all of them. That's all the cult creeds. So let me know what you guys thought. I think they're all really good. My favorites are obviously Twisted Helix, Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor, and Rusted Claw. If you guys haven't seen, we did do a battle report featuring the Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor. That was only my 2nd game playing this new 9th edition book. Obviously, us Genestealer Cult players, there will be a bit of a learning curve these first couple of games. I know a lot of people are saying, we haven't seen Genestealer Cult win many games outside of some of the few real dedicated tournament players. So they obviously, they can kick butt because they've been dedicated. But someone like me, who Genestealer Cult, I would argue, are my 3rd army. Tyranids are number 1. And I have Admech and these guys. It's going to take me a couple games to get used to it. There's still a huge skill gap, or not skill gap, it's high skill ceiling, but also a really low skill / luck floor. It's going to be really easy to be towards the bottom unless you exactly know what you're doing. You're pulling everything off, and even you have some dice rolls going well. That's it. I think all the Genestealer Cults have the big potential, and I'm really looking forward to playing more. I'm going to probably use Twisted Helix next time. Bring out a Patriarch that has business dealing with anything he goes up against, barring Primarch. But it'll be a lot of fun. Let me know what you guys think. Are you new to Genestealer Cult? You're just getting your toes wet, kind of trying to figure out what cult creed you want to play? Or are you an experienced Genestealer Cult player and you know exactly where your army's heart is set on? What are you playing? Are you playing one of these 3, or have I totally messed it up and one of the other 3 are way better than I'm expecting? For me, I think it's going to be a combination. Well, we can't do a combination anymore. It's going to be one of these 3 that are going to be kind of the top meta list, but all of them are going to have some play. So we'll wrap it up there, keep the rambling to a minimum. Thank you guys again for watching, and we'll catch you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.